He's got a few more grey hairs than when I last saw him.
And what about Sam Robson? I mean, last week he played down at Cheltenham in Middlesex's loss down there to put them to the bottom of the table in the SouthGroup. But in the case of Robson, he had not played a T20 for Middlesex. He was 1 day short of 10 years. It was July the 9th, 2011, the previous time that he turned out, which is staggering when you think about it. I mean, it's a long career. He's in form, though, making 154 on Sunday out at Merchant Taylor School, by far the most impressive performance with the Middlesex batters in that 4-day game.
And listen, I don't think it's for want of trying or willing to play T20 cricket. We saw something similar this time last year in the form of Tim Murtagh coming back in to play T20 cricket for Middlesex after he hadn't played for an awfully long time as well. And I think there's sometimes a frustration amongst the county championship players that you almost get pigeonholed into being a long-form cricketer. But I think we can see from the international stage that if you're brilliant at one form, your class can often pervade the others. And, well, he only got 13 in his last match, but I think Sam Robson will be enjoying his chance here.
So out come Middlesex in their red tops, of course, playing tonight for the Ruth Strauss Foundation. There are two ways you can get involved in that through the course of the evening. The first is on the Middlesex online store, where the replica red shirts will be available with a percentage of proceeds going straight to the Ruth Strauss Foundation. And the second way, which might be a fraction more fun as well, all 14 players in the Middlesex squad tonight, Izzy, are donating their shirts to the charity, and they'll be auctioned off. 100% of the money coming from that auction going straight to the charity. So the link here is in the notes on YouTube, but givergy.uk, so givergy.uk/MVSKT20. It might be easier to click that in the YouTube description, but that will take you straight to the auction site and a chance to be part of what we're doing tonight here at Lord's for the Ruth Strauss Foundation. As Kent's George Munsey prepares himself to take the first ball. Of course, no names on the shirts, just enough time to get the numbers on there. Wearing number 93.
That's something that I've
Zach Crawley. Sorry, is
the numbers on shirts and the kit, men and women. That's actually something that I hadn't really thought about until when the New England ODI squad were announced. What was it, last week, and they were all ushered in. Apparently, that was one of the big issues, was getting all the kit to the right people in time, or making sure you had enough kit. I don't know if you remember, there was that tanker that got stuck in the Suez Canal at the beginning of this year.
Yes.
Well, that delayed a lot of the England kit coming through, so they had massive problems already with a backlog of kit. And now they're having to get even more because of all the different COVID substitutions. It's absolutely madness.
It's been quite the summer here at Lord's. Mujeeb is going to take the first over with his mystery spin. Bowling at the recruit Munsey, the Scottish international. Players called by umpire Long. We're away at Lord's. So we're on our magical mystery tour of Lord's this year ourselves. Is our fourth commentary position. Tonight we're coming to you from the Gubby Allen stand, so at long off, if you're watching Munsey face up, alongside the famous old pavilion. Ooh, reverse. Gets onto it too. What a fantastic way to get off the mark. That's gone all the way for 6. Munsey, 2 balls into his Kent career, says, I'll switch it up and go over deep backward point. Glorious hitting.
That was fantastic. It was a lovely scoop as well. I mean, hello. Welcome to your Kent debut at Lord's. First scoring shot. Scoop for 6. Backward scoop. Reverse scoop for 6. Madness.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination between the scoop and the sweep there, wasn't it? Either way, it was mightily effective. So the fielder's out. Deep square. Deep mid-wicket. And again on the reverse, and the result's the same. A second boundary. Well, a 6 and a 4 to start for Kent. They've had a magnificent season. The replacements called upon this evening, and they've started well.
Yeah, they have indeed. And it's almost one of those shots nowadays that, I mean, if you look back as a traditional cricket fan, you think, oh, what a risky shot. But really, if you look at the field and the way that Rahman is bowling, that's actually the most sensible shot out of the book, really.
I remember a very wise cricketer called Isabel Westbury once said to me that they preferred the reverse sweeps. It required full investment. You can't play the reverse sweep half-heartedly. Will he go again here? Of course he will. Misses, though. Majid getting one to go the other way.
I would say that 3 in a row might be verging on audacity.
But there is something to that, isn't there, as a batter? If you're playing the reverse, there's no, you can't be timid when getting into your stride. Will he go again? Still no one outside the circle on the offside. Ooh, beaten. Bowled! Clipping the top of off stump. Majid trending just up the slope after hitting the seam. Munsey goes for an entertaining and enterprising 10, but Middlesex have their first wicket.
Look at that celebration, just calm as you like. He wasn't perturbed, wasn't put off whatsoever by those unorthodox shots from Munsey. Didn't matter, he knew that sooner or later he had his man, and that was a superb ball. Just clipping off stump. And Munsey, well, he made an impression, but it's only a fleeting one. And he trudges off back to the dugout. Back to the dressing room, indeed. And it looks as though Heino Kuhn, the stand-in captain for the county championship side that were mustered together to play against Sussex last week, Kent, they had a positive COVID test that meant the rest of the team, the T20 Blast team, and therefore most of the county championship side were forced into isolation. And Heino Kuhn, who has been playing second 11 cricket mainly this summer so far, the 37-year-old was brought in to captain the scratch 11 against Sussex. So he's 37. He's 9 years. He is 9 years older than anybody else he captained in that county championship game. 5 of the 11, were born in this century.
Stop it.
Yikes.
So deep mid wicket, long on out. Kuhn to start off the mark. Yes, Heino Kuhn, of course, who was the club captain until a couple of years ago. End of a successful over for Middlesex, 11 for 1. So Kent won the toss and elected to bat, which has been their formula through the season. And they really have enjoyed batting first and putting up a score. 7 of their 8 victories have come after batting first, and only twice have failed to defend totals. They've only chased a couple of times a win against Surrey. They did the double against Surrey in their most recent 2 games, but batting first has certainly been the way they've gone about it. And they're not changing anything tonight, despite the alteration in personnel. So Tom Helm will get the first over from the nursery end. Deep third. And a square leg outside the circle. Slippy position. Oh, drop catch. Put down at point. In and out.
Either stick or they don't. And that's going to wear. Just have another look.
He's got a great pair of hands too, Joe Cracknell. We've seen that through the course of the competition. Usually riding the boundary, but inside the circle early on, of course, there at point. It was hammered to him by Heino Kuhn, but didn't stick. Zach Crawley gets the chance to face his first ball. After spending the last week or so with the England replacements, he's now leading the Kent replacements. We saw Crawley explode in the power play here in his corresponding fixture last year, Izzy, which was a thriller. 209 apiece, a tie. That was Middlesex's first home game of the season. But he and Daniel Bell-Drummond started extraordinarily well, belting 80 runs in the power play.
Big levers, I think it's fair to say. Making its England ODI debut in the past week in that another makeshift 11, that time for England.
And I think Crawley really did get his opportunity for England on the back of his Kent blast form. I mean, he's been exceptional so far this season. You look at the way that he's been able to play at the top of the order, building a foundation consistently.
Well, he's another one that will argue that class pervades across the different formats. He's a good batter, and therefore he just needs to adapt, concentrate on one or the other when and if the time comes.
Yeah, 342 runs at 38, a strike rate of 157 for Crawley was last year in the blast. Quick single, but even a direct hit from Cracknell would have likely been home.
But even looking at that shot there, I mean, he makes full use. I think this reminds me of somebody else that made full use of their height. Normally, quite often you think about batters as being, the best ones being quite small in stature, like stocky in a way, low centre of gravity. But, Kevin Peterson, he was somebody who was very tall, big guy, and really made full use of that height. He's standing on his tiptoes, and Crawley there really getting over the ball. It's lovely, lovely to see.
Good extra pace there from Helm. Up the slope as well after hitting the seam. So Crawley this season's made 281 runs at 40. Again, a strike rate of 155. So he's right up there. Only Daniel Bell-Drummond has a better strike rate for Kent this season. Bell-Drummond, one of the players out of the side today on account of self-isolation with COVID. Much as it was for England last week. 11 changes for Kent today. Third inside the circle. Deep point goes out. Last ball of the over. No, he'll have to try again. That's down the leg side.
I'm trying to wonder what I think of the red and blue combinations. It's a bit like the solar red that we had for England kit a few years back down the line.
Yeah, it does have a bit to it, doesn't it? The solar red. It was a bit Marmite, that outfit, wasn't it? But I quite like this. More traditional, a deeper red. Heine Kuhn retains the strike. 2 overs gone. Kent, after winning the toss and batting, a 15 for 1.
Head over to the Middlesex Cricket online store and buy one of these replica Ruth Strauss Foundation cricket shirts. They're limited edition. They'll only be up for a limited time. A proportion of the proceeds go to the Ruth Strauss Foundation. So head over there and buy them, please.
Great to have the Ruth Strauss Foundation a part of what we're doing tonight here at Lord's. As I mentioned off the top, you can bid for one of the playing shirts this evening as Mujeeb starts his second over. Easy to mid off, one there. The link in the YouTube information there, you'll see where you can jump on and bid for one of the 14 shirts that the Middlesex players are wearing, the 11 on the field, the 3 in the squad. Or you can buy one from the Middlesex online store, a replica shirt, the red and the blue. Long on and deep square outside the circle. And Crawley beats the ladder. Nicely played down towards deep fine. No fielder there. His first boundary.
Yeah, continuing his good form. You're talking about how Crawley brought in his T20 blast form into that one-day side for England. And on his debut, made a maiden 50, 58 not out. Duck in the second ODI, but then 39 to help secure that win, that rather marvellous run chase in the third ODI, and contribute toward the whitewash over Pakistan.
It's a mighty performance from England, wasn't it? To win 3-0 against Pakistan, who did have a full-strength team over here. Gives a real sense of that depth that we have in England white ball cricket. John Simpson played his role, performed with distinction. Behind the stumps here and in the action, making sure there's no single after deflecting off Kuhn's thigh pad.
Yeah, I think John Simpson was almost the best story of the lot, because he's somebody who's been such a performer.
Dancing over the top, into the gap at deep mid-wicket. Might have the legs to go for 4, and it does. So 2 boundaries in the over, one for Crawley, one for Kuhn.
Yeah, John Simpson, I think, we talked about BBC colleague Kevin Hand, has always talked about, I mean, he, one of, if not the premier county gloveman, and yet was probably never realistically going to get a chance with England.
Yeah, just born at the wrong time, wasn't he? Short fine does the work there with the captain, Stephen Finn.
when you think about
End of 3 overs, 25 for 1.
the sort of the premier batters that play for England who also can wicket but are sort of consigned to the field. Sam Billings, Joss Buttler, Johnny Bairstow, Ben Foakes can't get in the team. John Simpson was some way down the pecking order, mainly based on batting ability because of what he had in front of him. So it was almost like a fairy tale to cap what has been already an extremely accomplished county career to date, of course.
Yeah, and a player who will be in the 100, will be on television in that competition later in the month. Helm starts a fresh over. Turned around the corner by Kuhn, who moves into double figures from the first delivery. So he'll have a chance to continue to reinforce that he is a very capable cricketer if there were to be a situation as there was in the Test series against New Zealand where James Bracey was given the gloves for that assignment. Perhaps if they had their time again, it would have been John Simpson. And with injuries and COVID bubbles as they are at the moment, it's always good to have your name out there. Now it's very good timing for Simpson on that front. Deep point goes out for Crawley. Deep square, the other fielder outside the circle. It's exactly the direction that Crawley goes, taking a single out to Cracknell. So yeah, yes, it may have been 1 week as an England player, but yeah, you couldn't count him out with the bubbles that are almost certainly going to be required over the next 12 months or so as the world recovers from the pandemic. And that leg side catch here at Lords off Matt Parkinson, that was a beauty. Wonderful anticipation. Good take there as well after Helm went between bat and pad. Again, a bit of extra pace.
I think that was what was so lovely watching the England matches unfold as a Middlesex viewer over the years, player. You know what John Simpson can do, and people kind of discovering him for the first time.
Yes. Yeah, David Payne was the other, wasn't he, from Gloucestershire, who's probably one year Simpson's junior. Unfortunately, didn't get a game. They played the same 11 in all three, so 7 players were called up and didn't get a start, including a bowler here, Tom Helm. Tried to make room there, Heino Kuhn, but made too much room. Helm following him with a well-directed full delivery off the pads. Yeah,
well bowled, Tom Helm. I think he saw the early movement from Heino Kuhn coming down the track and onto the leg side. And that was, a decent dot. There's Chopra. New signing. Experienced signing.
And they need a bit of experience tonight to bolster the batting lineup, losing Eskenazi, who has been brilliant, especially over the last couple of weeks. All told, 399 runs at 44 at a strike rate of 141. Magnificent century he made in the game that we were calling about a month ago or so. A week
century in a losing cause.
Yes, indeed it was. It was a run that went 102 not out, 64, 91 and 59 in 4 games across the space of a week. But yes, tore his groin when batting at Merchant Taylor's on Sunday, and that's that. Across the line, gets plenty of it. Does he get all of it? He does. Zach Crawley attacking the grandstand boundary and doing it well. He moves to 13.
I love that. You just crack a 6, easy as you like, nice pick off the legs. And then he starts examining his bat, because he hasn't quite struck it as nicely as he wanted to.
Well, it didn't make a particularly nice sound. That's why I showed some hesitation, saying, has he got all of it? Because it sounded like it did clunk somewhat, but no. Modern bats as they are, and all the strength through his upper body, went all the way. 4 overs gone, 35 for 1. Crawley, 13 of those from 7 deliveries.
I wish I was the kind of batter that could miss-hit 6.
Here's the captain, Stephen Finn. 16 wickets at 22, an economy rate of 8.8 so far this season. But much as it was last year, consistently takes wickets.
Yeah. 4 for 19, his best so far this year. He has led from the front, and I'm sure it's frustration to him as well. Middlesex haven't done better.
Straight back over his head. And in the power play, that's 4 runs.
Well, no inhibitions there from Heino Kuhn. Stand and deliver. And that one just sitting in the slot there from Finn. Doesn't have quite had the pace as he used to do. Didn't really have to move at all, did he, Kuhn? Straight as they come. Lovely shot.
So Kent going at 9.4 and over so far. Losing the 1 wicket, that of Munsey, for 10 in the first over.
Interesting decision to move the field now, considering that one was A, the first ball, B, straight back over his head, but you're not going to have any fielders anyway.
Yeah, so a deep square and a deep mid wicket on the mound stand side of the ground. And Finn bowls to that field. Good cricket. So Kent have qualified for the quarterfinals. Top of the group on 17 points. Sussex in second place on 15. And then Gloucestershire and Somerset third and fourth on 14. Surrey 13. The only 5 teams in contention for the quarters. Bang. Nearly pops it into the pavilion there, Crawley. Just fell short of clearing the pickets.
I was about to say, Adam, that was coming our way. That was almost scooped up, wasn't it? Bottom handy. But he's got the power on him and the timing. This is a very good start as far as Crawley is concerned. Not quite as explosive as we've seen him here before, but you feel more assured.
Yeah, he wants to be a 3-format international, that's for sure. 2 6s to Crawley. Again, well bowled from Finn to his field. Just one there to Max Holden. So Kent can't miss the quarters. But I'm looking forward to seeing the way that plays out between Sussex and Gloucestershire and Somerset. And then Surrey sort of floating around, nagging there on 13 points. Realistically, Essex can't get there from 11.
Well bowled, just hurrying him up there a little bit, trying to turn it into his legs.
End of the 5th over. Kent 47 for 1.
Middlesex Cricket will be auctioning off these shirts that are going to be worn in the match versus Kent. 100% of the proceeds will go to the foundation. They're signed. Spend your cash, get involved.
Change of bowling. Blake Cullen gets his first opportunity at the final over of the power play. Whose shirt are we going to bid on? Who's our favourite tonight in the Ruth Strauss Foundation auction for the playing shirts for the 14 out there, well, the 11 out there and the 3 who are on the bench? Whose do we want?
Well, I'm always one for the novelty shirt. So, on current form, Sam Robson, first match in 10 years.
Yeah, I like that. It's strong. Darren Chopra on loan. It could be a bit of a rarity and oddity, although he will be playing for Middlesex through the Royal London Cup in all games with the exception of the Essex clash. He'll be playing against his home club as such. Here's Cullen. Had a good campaign. That's a nice shot. Out towards deep mid-wicket. And again, it goes all the way. Zach Crawley, a high degree of risk trying to bisect the fielders. One at deep square and one at deep mid-wicket. A long way from our commentary position, but was committed to the stroke and the placement was just good enough.
Yeah, one of those tempting ones. just got there. That's all that was needed.
Goes again. Doesn't quite go the journey, and a juggle catch. Really good work there by Max Holden on the rope. An important piece of fielding brings the second wicket for Middlesex, with Kent 53 for 2. Crawley falls for 26. 3 sixes, but couldn't clear the leg side rope for a fourth time.
Yeah, broad grin there. Holden knowing that he only just hung on to it by the skin of his teeth. But job done. And that's the first wicket, a good wicket.
And sure, they practice it. Yes, they do a lot of training on the little do-si-do across the boundary line, but to execute it in practice is another thing altogether.
And it means that Crawley, who really was looking to start going, a few accomplished strokes, decent looking sixes, even the ones that he mishit. And there on 26, that's a frustrating innings, isn't it? Because you know you're in your groove, you know that you're striking them right, and then to get plucked out at that point, frustration all round. But it's a good start for Kent, 53 for 1 into the 6th over.
Blake Cullen's 15th wicket of the season. Now, he's taken 14 at 19 before tonight. I don't expect he would have thought he would have played a lot of T20 at the start of the season, but due to the fact that Middlesex had a number of injuries to their fast bowling stocks, he was given that chance and a bit of a chastening experience in the first game against Surrey. But, gee, he's bounced back really well. Player of the match in the performance against Somerset down in Taunton a couple of weeks ago in a losing effort. Rarely do you get named player of the match in a losing cause, but 4 wickets on that evening. Influential in the win against Hampshire out at Radlett, as he was here against Sussex with 3 wickets a couple of Thursdays ago. So you look back on this as an important stepping stone. 100 contract out of it as well, Cullen, who bowls. Well, that's a bit quicker than the one that came before it. Shout for league before, turned down.
Yeah, Cullen was announced as one of the wild card 100 contracts, wasn't he, in that late tranche of players. Very exciting prospect. Lovely action as well, a repeatable action.
What a night for it out in the terraces here at Lord's. Glorious evening. Must have been the hottest day of the year.
Someone texting in to donate to the Ruth Strauss Foundation.
I certainly hope so. Get one of those shirts. Maybe get Blake Cullen's shirt. That might be a collector's item down the track. This guy, 19 years of age, goes on and has an international career, and he's certainly trending in that direction. Not immediately, of course, but he's on the pathway, you could say. Fingers down the seam, a bit of pace off the ball. Good variety here from the teenager.
New man in then is Harry Finch. He got his first class, his 24th first class match was the one against Essex in the recent one, but he hasn't really been around that team, or at least he's been playing a lot of second 11 cricket of recent. So to get the century in that second innings, nice looking shot. Arno Kuhn showing his experience there, sort of helicopter flash of the bat, businessman. That's what he's here for. Effective, efficient. Punched his glove with Finch at the other end, who will want to continue his form.
I love that flourish from Heino Kuhn as well. After he made contact with the cut shot, went the whole way around with the bat, stole points, gets all of them. So 1 ball left in his power play. 12 runs and a wicket from the over so far. Out goes Point, third man inside the circle. And again, Heino Kuhn out towards the leg side with a flourish. Retains the strike. End of the power play. Kent 60 for 2, losing Munsey and Crawley along the way. Thanks tonight for our sponsor, London Fields Brewery, looking after our stream this evening here at Lord's. Modern beer from East London's original New Wave craft brewery. Head to their tap room in Hackney or jump on londonfieldsbrewery.co.uk. And how's this, Izzy? For every 4 or 6 hit tonight, they're going to pop in 20 quid to the Ruth Strauss Foundation, which means they're already up for 160 quid. It could be a quite expensive night for them. I hope so in many respects.
All we need is another one of those thrillers that we saw in the last time these two teams were here, Middlesex and Kent. Was it 212 apiece? Tie at the end. Many, many boundaries and high-scoring match as well. We've had a few high-scoring matches down at Lord's.
It was 209 apiece. And if I recall correctly, I think Kent knocked 80 in the power play and still managed to lose. Well, not lose, but not win. But it felt like a loss. You know,
not win.
Sometimes in a draw or a tie, there's a winner and a loser. Start of the first over in the accumulation phase. It's a spinner Souter for the first time tonight. A couple out to extra cover. Good running. Yes, it was Bell Drummond and Crawley. They got them off to a flyer. And then Stephen Finn and Tom Helm put the brakes on.
I remember watching the first 5 overs and thinking, okay, this is going to be done pretty soon.
Oh, big shout. Got to be close. Turned down by umpire Long. That's what Souter does best. Either the wrong end or the top spinner. He's always attacking the woodwork.
Yeah, I think he knew that. Just pitching down leg, pleading almost.
Nice clip. I mean, there's an awful lot to like about the way that Nathan Souter's bowled in his competition. Super consistent. Frugal in relative terms, going at just 7 or so and over. He'll get a different kind of platform to showcase his talents in the 100, which starts next week.
But he's a consistent wicket taker as well. I think you know that with every match, it's going to get you 1 or 2 at least. It's very rare that he goes wicketless throughout an innings, even though you've got only 4 overs to play with as a bowler. I always think that's so unfair in a T20 match. As a batter, you can dominate the whole innings, whereas with a bowler, you only have 1/5 of the piece of the pie.
Fraction shorter on the cut, but can't beat short third.
Oval Invincibles is who he's playing for.
So he's going across the river to play for the team.
Controversial,
at
really.
The Oval. I remember when the Kia Super League started back in 2016. Ooh, on the money there, Souter. Deep in the crease was Finch, gets through for a single. End of the 7th over. Just 6 runs coming from Souter's first, 66 for 2. Sophia Dunkley, Middlesex player, went across to play for the South East Stars, or the Surrey Stars, whatever they're called then, in the Super League, and ended up staying over there. But that won't be the case for Souter, who is very much contracted here at HQ.
I think it was one of those that the Kia Super League didn't have a team based at Lords, so they took the edge off it slightly, but there was still a sense of, I don't know if that's really okay, considering that the London Cup had started up in a T20 match between Middlesex and Surrey women. There was a rivalry there. I don't know, crossing over to the other side of the river is always dangerous if you're from this end.
Spoken like a true former captain of this club, Isabel Westbury. Here's Blake Cullen. 2nd over, nursery end. So short to begin, but Finch has started well. Into the gap. It's really well played. Diving effort required, and Mujeeb isn't able to drag it in. That's 4 runs. Just tripped over. Replace your divots there, Mujeeb.
That is some bit of turf that he's managed to dig up there.
We were slightly obscured from our commentary position watching it the first time around, but yes, it was left knee into the turf, just in front of the Woodstock cricket sign, and into the boundary it goes. Pace.
Just having a look at that replay, he really did stick his knee in there. It's one of those that you just hope doesn't catch anything, doesn't cause one of those freak injuries. He seems to be all right. I like his shoes, tell you that much. The red, rather complementing his outfit.
Yeah.
Not so much the yellow.
Yeah, Cullen started really well here again, past the outside edge, I should say. The shorter one now. So he's mixing it up. The previous delivery was there to drive, and not giving him 2 deliveries the same to look at consecutively.
Immediately you see the frustration there from Finch, just glancing at the square leg umpire, got nothing for it.
No, that's fine. Last time we saw Finch play Izzy, we were out at Radlett last year, weren't we? The Bob Willis Trophy game between Sussex and Middlesex. He's since changed clubs. He was released after the Bob Willis Trophy. But yes, in the runs last week. A mighty effort from Kent to save that game.
Oh, ridiculous, really. I mean, it was a young Sussex side as well. I think that should be fair to say. But to have pretty much a whole first 11 usurped as a result of COVID, a bit like emulating their England colleagues.
Yes. On the dance. Can't be cover, will be cover. Bonus runs.
Yeah, that's a shame. He was just starting to tie down Kent now. He hadn't seen the boundary in a little while. The frustration starting to eke in, forcing Kuhn down the track. And to get it through extra cover, through a misfield. Well, nobody wants to do it, but not helpful.
So last ball of the over. Resourceful. Doesn't beat short fine. They take the single anyway. Finch batting without a number on his back. 75 for 2. So Heino Kuhn, he's 31 from 24 deliveries. Here's Souter, his second over. Reversing, picking it up well. Not much of a gap to work with there, and he's just about got it down towards the rope in front of the grandstand. They come back for a couple.
Good piece of fielding there by Holden on the boundary. Down in the shadow. Didn't quite get the pace on it.
Max Holden again in the game. On the reverse. Oh, do you attempt to stop with the foot? That never looks good when it doesn't work out. And it didn't there.
And he wrong-footed Holden as well.
Good ball.
It's one of those, I don't think he was quite sure in his mind how he was going to get down to that ball. Went for the two-studded tackle.
Yes, and popped in an own goal just about. Luke Holman's on as a sub-fielder. Beneath us here at Long On. One of 3 changes this evening for the home side. Eskenazi out through injury. And Careys and Holman omitted from the team that lost last week to Gloucestershire by 10 runs. Chopra in for his first game, on loan from Essex. And Simpson and Helm back from England duty. Down towards Holman. Can he cut it off? Dive required. And just drags it in. Super fielding. He may not be in the starting 11 tonight, Holman, but he's made his contribution there.
That was really well done. He's just clutching his left side because he had to. Fell to the ground with quite a thump. But did the job. Trying to work out who Holman's on for.
Yes, I was trying to work that out. Not the best vantage point to work that out from here, but we'll ask if someone could do it for us. Daryl Mitchell's off the field, I've just been told. 2 more here.
Yeah, it doesn't look as though there's anything of concern. They kept him off. He's running back on now. I think Holden will come back into the dugout.
I wonder whether Mitchell will be at the bowling crease at some stage this evening. He's not bowled in his last 3 T20 games for Middlesex, but he was important with the ball out at Merchant Taylor's in the Leicestershire game, taking 3 wickets.
One of those things about T20 cricket is that if your sort of frontline 5 bowlers do as they're supposed to and don't get smacked out of the attack, you've got Sauter, Rahman, Helm, Cullen and Finn, then you probably won't. Depends really how the game goes. There's more of a danger perhaps with spinners. And that confidence, that flow getting underneath them. But from Middlesex perspective, you almost don't want to see him.
Yeah, I wonder whether he's better than a 6-bowler Mitchell. Played his part in that extraordinary finish against Essex here a couple of weeks ago, which we were calling Izzy, where Middlesex were defeated from the final ball after 5 wickets in the previous 2 overs. Finn returns to the attack. Their captain is taken down the ground, but isn't able to beat that man Mitchell, who also takes a divot out of the turf when sliding.
Less than a week ago since the ODI, the second ODI, that Pakistan series was played over here. I wonder if there's been a bit of relaying going on. I don't know. It does seem rather easy to do at present.
Carved, but only as far as a sweeper at deep point. So to come for Kent, Callum McLeod, the experienced Scotsman, signed today. Then Dan Lincoln, who was a Middlesex player in the Blast last year, released at the end of 2020. Here he is tonight, returning to Lords. Making room. Good contact from Finch, down the ground, mid-on inside the circle, his first boundary.
There seems to be a concerted plan against Finn, is getting into position very early and trying to get him back over his head. And I wonder if it's just that knowledge that he hasn't quite got the pace that he once was. I know he keeps on going on about that, but it means that if he slightly over pitches it, it's a nice half volley and easy enough to get underneath.
Yeah, good batting from Finch. Holds his pose this time. So nearing the halfway mark. Kent pretty well placed to push up towards 200. Got a cloud in the sky at Lords tonight. Last ball of Finn's over again, making room is Finch. But picks out deep mid-wicket. He'll retain the strike. He's on 15. End of the 10th over. We're halfway. Kent, 93 for 2. London Fields, our sponsor tonight. London Fields Brewery, I should say. As you saw in the ad there, 20 quid for every boundary hit this evening going to the Ruth Strauss Foundation. Check out their work at londonfieldsbrewery.co.uk. Thanks for being with us here tonight at Lords. Gorgeous evening at that. Over the back there of the Warner stand. We're on the other side of the pavilion, Izzy, as I pass over the commentary to you for the next 10 overs. But what a lovely time to be here after missing so much cricket. A night with not a cloud in the sky.
It is indeed. I just caught the end of that pun from London Fields. Don't worry, be hoppy. I'm not quite sure. I'm always up for a good pun, but that feels almost on my sort of terrible spectrum. Rahman is going to come back and continue from the pavilion end. That's short and dragged. I think he might get a 4 for this. It's well hit, and indeed it beats Nathan Souter down there at the boundary. That wasn't a great one to start with from Rahman. Short, wide. And Finch here, sorry, continues from the form he showed earlier this week. Oh, and another attempted sweet shot. Nice dot ball. Like to see that in the T20.
Yeah, that one out of the back of the hand. Has all the tricks going, Mujib. He's 21 years of age as well.
Oh, that one again. Just pushing the batter into his crease. Didn't quite pick it there. Finch.
I've given him an extra year there. He's only 20 still, Mujib, but he's already played 141 T20s.
Rahman again, and preempted shot there, and he's going to get another 4 for it, is he? I think the chase is on at the boundary. He's got it again. Souter almost losing his shirt in the process. Just wait there. Did he get a 4 for it?
I think that's quite a good save. The 100's up, but a couple preserved. Yeah, I reckon that was just kept in on the relay. It was.
That was absolutely superb fielding. I'd almost written it off by that point. Here comes Rahman again. Nicely weighted. Throw comes in at the striker's end. I tell you what, if that had been a direct hit, that would have been pretty close. Just seeing a replay once more of that boundary stop by Souter. That was incredible. Throwing himself over in the process, almost losing his shirt. Scooped it in for the other fielder to come over and get as well. Well fielded. I'm just going to put down another fielder there, in fact. For Finch, who seems to be quite partial to that backward of square sweep. They put a fielder down at the fine leg boundary. This one's straighter.
We've got some viewer engagement as well, in from Jason Manning asking, Mujib, he's the best overseas player for Middlesex since when?
Yeah.
A big call. I mean, he hasn't had a great night tonight with the ball, it must be said, but he's had a wonderful campaign for the club, coming in to replace Chris Green, rather, wasn't it? It was who
Chris
played the
Green
first half of the
himself had
season.
a pretty good start to the season as well. That 5-for in what was his first outing, second outing for Middlesex in the T20.
Hat-trick as well, yeah. Against Kent, wasn't it? The hat-trick and the 5-for.
Having a bit of a drinks break or a sanitisation break. 102 for 2 currently, Kent. 11 overs in. 2 set batters. Finch, century maker in the county championship game earlier in this week. He's there on 23. Kuhn, I know Kuhn, who captained that side, providing a bit more experience down the other end.
I quite like the technique on the hand sanitizer there. I can't quite spot who's doing it for Middlesex, but there's actually hand sanitizer going into the hands of the players. That hasn't always been the case in games we've covered this year, where it's almost a token effort to bring the bottle around, but not a lot of gel comes out. But that was done diligently.
Reminds me of the F1 Formula 1 pit stops. Very efficient, nothing left to waste, and he's puffing away as well.
Yeah, he's done well there. Josh DeCaries was the man in charge, losing his spot in the side tonight, but making his contribution. Racing around between overs. Good fitness work.
Here comes Finn. It's clubbed away into the onside. Pick up 2 for it. $104 for 2. I feel it's a good. I feel if I was in Kent colours, I'd feel quite reasonably happy about this.
Mightily so. And that they are on track for your 180 to 200 bracket from having won the toss and batted. And as I mentioned off the top, that has been their method through the season. See a change to the field finally coming up inside the circle. I mean, they've defended 176, 178, 183, 144.
Finn and Finch early into position again, trying to lean into the offside.
And then a bigger effort against Essex, where they had 236 to play with after batting first, winning that comfortably. Then 167, then 191. So the majority of those games are somewhere between 165 and 180 odd. And they're winning those comfortably. Yeah, sure, different personnel here tonight, but as goes the cliche, winning is a habit.
Look at that, early into position again, and he's found, say, the gap, but over the infield. 1 bounce 4. And that's the sign of a man who knows exactly where his fielders are. He made room for himself. He knew that the offside was up. He only got the 1 fielder out on the cover point boundary. And that is sensible cricket and 4 more runs to the total.
Yeah, and making sure that here, in the case of Finch and Kuhn as well, that when they do get to the second stage of this competition, there'll be names that are remembered if they can post a serious score here tonight, and they're well on track to doing that at the moment. Of course, tonight, Kent missing Bell Drummond and Cox and Leaning and Crawley. Well, Crawley's playing, but 3 of the 4 top run scorers this season.
Straight back down the ground. That'll be 4. Only just in the end. A good effort there from Mitchell, diving from long on. He had a lot of ground to make. But consecutive 4s then to Harry Finch, who'll be enjoying this ride. It's unexpected ride almost. He didn't get his contract renewed at Sussex at the end of last season after a disappointing Bob Willis Trophy campaign. But he's topped the run scoring charts for Kent in their second 11 T20 fixtures, which is where most of these have come from. Scoop. And I think that'll be another one. It will indeed. 3 4s in succession. Finch moves to 37, 116 for 2.
And what a shot that was. I mean, getting into position early. Talk about taking your opportunity. A couple of weeks ago, he wouldn't have thought there was any chance realistically of breaking into this wonderful Kent side. They've won 8 games this season, but yeah, change in personnel on the back of a bit of self-isolation. And here he is, and making sure that he's going to do something that will give Kent a very good opportunity in this game. 116 for 2, only in the 12th over. He's 37 from 21. Another change to the field. Deep third becomes short third for the final ball.
Finn to Finch. Settle for the single, retains the strike. And that means after 12 overs then, Kent... I've lost my scorecard. I've lost all the scorecards. 117 for 2. I found one. They disappear very quickly here at Lord's. But yes, 12 overs in, 117 for 2. Heino Kuhn, 42 from 33 with Finch. It is amazing, really, because not only would you have thought, you know, would I be playing in front of a full house or as full a house as it's allowed to be at Lord's on a Friday night in the T20 Blast, but, you know, a week ago, I think he'd have been thinking about his long-term future and having a county contract next year.
Yeah, that's right. And look, this is a great shop window for it, isn't it? Lord's, good night, big crowd. Yeah, sure, Middlesex are out of the competition in terms of the finals race, but there'll be a lot of attention on this game on account of the fact that it's such an unusual fixture. 11 changes.
Attempt to carve it into the offside. Souter, the spinner now from the pavilion end, changing it up Middlesex.
And it's something we should get used to across the course of the next month is as well, between now and the 16th of August.
Oh, back leg. Half-hearted appeal. Just outside the line there.
Until the self-isolation protocols change when it comes to those who have 2 vaccinations, there'll be a lot of cricketers who are unable to play in the Royal London Cup and the 100 for that matter.
Lots of cricketers, broadcasters, everybody else. It's going to be a tricky month to navigate. Let's hope the cricket stays. This is going to go straight down the throat of long on, and Daryl Mitchell there settles himself, had a few paces to make as the ball shrunk into the shadows, and Souter, we said he gets about a wicket a match, and there you go, that's one for the evening so far. Middlesex have another. It's their 3rd one of the evening, and it's that of Heino Kuhn. He falls for 42.
Yeah, very chilled out there, Mitchell, wasn't he? Beneath us here in the Allen stand, a couple of paces in, had to wait a bit underneath it. Kuhn didn't get much of it. Good innings for 42, laying the foundation for the visitors, but yes, Nathan Souter always busy routinely in the wickets in the book again tonight.
Dependable man in the T20 format. And now an interesting wicket, that one, because it was Finch really that had hogged the strike almost. The one with the momentum, the one that's got the 4 4s back to back against Finn. But Heino Kuhn now in his 40s, the experienced man at the crease. This will be interesting then. Callum McLeod, Scottish Callum McLeod. Yeah, the name wasn't a giveaway, but he of course has had form against England in the white ball format. A very explosive player indeed.
Yeah, fabulous cricketer, Callum McLeod. 32 years of age now. It's caught up with me a little bit. I thought he might have been in his late 20s, but now 32. Experience at Sussex and Durham and Warwickshire across the journey. A couple of T20 hundreds, average of 29. He's played nearly 50 T20 internationals for Scotland.
That's full and off the mark straight away. Yeah, 120 T20 appearances throughout his career, variously at Durham, at Derbyshire, at Sussex, and now at Kent. He's gone all around the country. Averaging just shy of 30 in the format as well. Floaty one, Fuller. Pushed down the ground from Finch. 120 for 3. Nudged into the onside. I think they'll just settle for the single, they will. So then after 13 overs, Kent 121 for 3.
Head over to the Middlesex Cricket online store and buy one of these replica Ruth Strauss Foundation cricket shirts. They're limited edition. They'll only be up for a limited time. A proportion of the proceeds go to the Ruth Strauss Foundation, so head over there and buy them, please.
I haven't got a replica Middlesex shirt, Izzy. You've got playing shirts from having represented the club. I certainly didn't do that, but this might be the night. This might be the night. Replica playing shirts from this evening. Money going towards the Ruth Strauss Foundation.
Blake
Great
Cullen
cause.
taking over from Stephen Finn at the nursery end. Nice dot ball to start. We had, I think it was the Felix Foundation shirts earlier in the season with the green shirts. I think a couple of novelty ones flying about.
Yes. Yeah, good opportunity to get behind the charity partners of the clubs, of the club rather.
I hope you're not red or green colourblind. That would be unfortunate.
Oh yes, good point. Well,
actually cut into the offside. Will that beat the fielder? It will. Lovely slice of the bat. Score pops over to 125. The late afternoon sunshine, Friday evening, start of a heat wave. What more could you want?
again, a great way to start there for McLeod. That was crunched. Hit the cover off it. That's 4 anywhere in the world.
Here he comes again. Rajiv Fielding in his rather fetching shoes. I've been really taken by them, the red and the yellow. The red matches, the yellow doesn't quite, but I'll give him full points for flashiness. Changing the field, it looks like. We've got a cover point down on the boundary. The third man is being brought up inside the ring. Fine legs down there, as is square leg, deep out on the boundary, and a mid-wicket. And it looks as though you've also got a long on, so who's the 5 fielders out at the moment? And that will go to one of them. Nicely set field for the young fast seamer.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing Blake Cullen go through his paces in the 100. Again, just the extra level of exposure for a young player. It was at the Under-19s World Cup a couple of years ago, but up against some of the best players in the world he will be over the next month or so.
Oh, was that a catch? I think he has. I think that's McLeod. That's done him. That's his evening so far. He might have flown in all the way down from Scotland. But he departs for 7. And he wasn't sure if he got anything on it, but the umpire was, as was the bowler. And as was John Simpson with an easy catch behind the stumps. And that'll be the 4th. So stalling then this Kent innings. And Kent find themselves now 1-2-7 for 3.
Yeah, effectively steered into the gloves of Simpson. The 4th wicket to fall for Kent. 2 in consecutive overs. It brings Dan Lincoln to the middle, who was on Middlesex's books and played throughout the T20 Blast last year, but was released and now found his way to Kent by this replacements team. Gives it a wallop, we know that. Good energetic fielder as well. Good to see him back here at Lord's. But yes, that dismissal from Cullen, just a bit of extra bounce. And you could see what McLeod was trying to do. He was trying to steer it down to deep third where there was a fielder up inside the circle, but extra pace.
Here comes Cullen again. This is turning the onside. Lincoln off the mark straight away. Yeah, Lincoln was one of those who sort of got those unexpected opportunities as a result of the pandemic last year. No overseas coming in. He was in fact the replacement for A.B. de Villiers, playing for Middlesex in the T20 Blast. Of course, he's a multi-talented cricketer as well. He played for, I think he was in the Reading Football Academy for a little while as well. But then he's had a bit of a journeyman career since then, since being released by Middlesex. It was a lovely parting message actually from Stuart Law, sort of saying, unfortunately, this is an opportunity that came unexpectedly. Not going to renew his contract, but he, around the team, he's very much a professional. Very much enjoyed having him there. But he's been playing back for Berkshire in the minor counties competition over the last year. He's made appearances for Warwickshire second 11, Northants as well. He's on the strike straight away. To Souter there.
The makings of a pretty good story there, having been involved in professional football, then at Middlesex, but also by the minor counties, or national counties as they're called these days, through the second 11. A couple of clubs this year, back to the top flight in the Blast this evening.
Well, that one stayed very low. I think he might have saved himself there with a little tickle, a little inside edge onto the pads.
Yeah, it had to be the way that Souter was appealing. He went up automatically. Then he realised as he was appealing, no, there's an inside edge there, and he backed out.
Well picked, but nothing you could do with it there.
It's not an easy delivery to bowl time and time again, the wrong one, but Souter has got it down to a fine art.
Nicely weighted. Keeping Holden busy down in the deep.
Interesting for a wrist spinner to effectively give away their biggest comparative advantage, which is the leg break, but you rarely see it from him. Again here, another straight delivery, finds the inside edge for the second time in the over. Good one at that.
Really good returns. As he approaches his final ball of his spell, 1 for 20 so far. And that is a dot ball to end it. And after 4 overs, no maidens, 1 wicket for 20 runs. That is a fantastic return from Nathan Souter. And Kent find themselves 131 for 4.
Middlesex Cricket will be auctioning off these shirts that are going to be worn in the match versus Kent. 100% of the proceeds will go to the foundation. They're signed. Spend your cash, get involved.
All those shirts on auction tonight, 14 of them. Get your bids in. Steve Finn told you so. Very easy to click the link that's in the YouTube description. givergy.uk/MVSKT20. But the easiest way to grab that is from the YouTube description and bid on one of the shirts the Middlesex players are wearing tonight for the Ruth Strauss Foundation.
Nicely played into the onside. A lot of work to do out in the deep. And they pick up a flurry. QPR top in the crowd. A few different shirts on display. Lovely evening for it. Helm is the man at the nursery end. Just turned nicely into the onside. Nice orthodox field here for Helm. Point out on the boundary. Middle wicket, square leg, fine leg as well. And one there, a long on, he's going to have to come in. Oh, he's beaten to it by mid wicket. Good running between the wickets. 136 for 4.
So Kent added 71 runs in what we call the middle overs, so between overs 7 and 15, which isn't a bad return after laying a pretty good foundation, 60 runs in the power play. But from here, yeah, they'll really want to go at 10s, won't they? Especially with Finch going well. Get towards 200.
Weighted. Cut in front of square. Yeah, Lincoln can hit a long ball. Marcus O'Riordan, slightly younger. Handy all-rounder though. Just trying to think about their 6 hitting power. Not so much down the order, so you'd think you'd be relying on these two to do the bulk of it. Nice bouncer there. That'll be one for the over. So the umpire signal at square leg. Well executed there from Helm.
Yeah, really well bowled. Right near the badge of the helmet, where you need to be. Not a lot of margin for error in the blast. If you're above the lid, it's a no ball and a free hit. So, whether you like it or not, and I don't particularly like that, but nevertheless, it can be a bit of a disincentive for short bowling. But Helm, an experienced campaigner now, right on the money there.
Fine leg and third man brought up inside the ring. And a slower ball, well executed. Bounces in front of the keeper, but it's a dot ball to end. It's a good over as far as Middlesex are concerned. 137 for 4.
Yeah, just 6 from it. And those last 2 balls, it does sum up why Tom Helm has been seen as a real leader of this attack in the last couple of years alongside Stephen Finn. The quick bouncer, followed by the very slow change of pace, bouncing a couple of times before reaching the gloves of Simpson. Majib to bowl his final over at the death. Usually Majib bowls 3 in the power play and comes back to bowl 1 in the middle overs, but given the responsibility here, looking forward to seeing how Finch goes about it. Have to attack him, don't they?
Don't think you have much of a choice at this stage.
I suppose the question is not whether they attack him, but where.
Yeah.
Where do they go? Where are they setting up? Got a deep backward square.
There's a lot of manoeuvring going
deep
on.
mid-wicket, deep point. And the 5th fielder outside the circle. Oh, long on, sorry, beneath us, Daryl Mitchell. So 4 on the leg side. How will Majid go about this?
Short and fast. Pushing him back into his crease. That's a pretty good tactic.
Yeah, they say about Majid, he's so tricky because he's so much quicker than a normal spinner, almost a medium pacer.
He's an in-between bowler, I always think.
Yeah. But with a very deep bag of tricks, whether he's bowling at the front of the hand or the side of the hand or sometimes at the back of the hand.
Flighted that one. Aerial for a moment. Cut off nicely.
I mean, what a talent to be able to do every discipline well enough at professional level. I mean, most cricketers, if they're lucky, can do one. But he can bowl, as we say, squeezes out the Karen ball, the off break, the wrong and the leg break.
Oh, and this one's big Hefo. I think there's a man underneath it. There is. That is a really, really well taken catch. Not only did you have the boundary to juggle with, it was coming inside with the shadow as well, just falling in from the sunlight. And you got a bit of crowd behind him to taunt him as well. Lovely taken catch. And that's just what Middlesex need.
Yeah, that was a harder chance than it looked on the basis of what you said. Cracknell started in the shade and ran into the sun. And with the angle of the sun, that was no easy take. And he gave it big to the crowd as well. A lot of people in here at Lord's tonight. Must have some mates over there. Fist pumping all the way. And as he might. Good cricket.
Right then, Marcus O'Riordan coming in to bat for Kent, 23 years of age. 11 first-class matches to his name. He's played 7 matches for the Kent second 11 in their T20 league. Averaging 24 runs. Highest score of 41 against Sussex earlier in the season. A strike rate of 139, that's decent. Finch there is retained back on strike after they crossed. He's a Tunbridge School classmate of Zach Crawley. Immediately Mujib there is interested. Not this time. He opened the batting in the Bob Willis Trophy last year when Cox was ill. I think he had a problem with his abdomen. I can't remember what it was. This one well watched. Just pushed into the onside. He's off the mark. So the end of that over. The score was 142 for 5.
£340 raised already on account of the support that London Fields Brewery are providing tonight to the partner we have, our charity partner here, Middlesex, the Ruth Strauss Foundation. So for every boundary hit, London Fields Brewery are chipping in 20 quid. Good on them.
Cullen from the pavilion end, his final over of his spell. It really is a tricky time of the evening to field, especially in a stadium such as Lord's, when you've got the tall, towering stands, you've got the sunlight just falling into your eyes, and then you've got the shadows that suddenly cause that contrast as well. And in a sky that isn't quite as vibrant blue as you might like with a white ball playing into it, can be difficult. Scoop shot, or an attempted one. Into position very early there. Finch just gets the one.
So Cullen bowling out here, it'll be Finn and Helm to bowl the last 2 overs. Is who bowls 19, who bowls 20?
It's a good question. Well, Finn seems to be the one that...
Finn's been more expensive.
Yeah, that Kent have been able to get after a little bit more. So you'd almost say, okay, well, maybe he doesn't take the last over. Then, of course, he's captain though as well. He's had a good returns throughout the season. He's most experienced. You'd say that's his responsibility. Bouncer from Cullen. High in the air, is a man underneath it, and he'll take it easily enough. Didn't get enough on it. And the Kent batters there will just querying the umpire and saying that was well above shoulder height, but I think he's all right. I think that was a well-executed bumper, and I think he has to go.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Good cricket. Pace off the ball, and Steve Finn, who had a ball go through his legs earlier this evening, made no mistake there, the captain at mid-off. So consistent wickets have helped drag the run rate back. Middlesex needed to drag it back a fraction at the halfway mark. Kent were on track for about 180 or more, but now they'll be hard pressed getting up to about 170, I fancy, and even that might be a good result. That 144 for 5, 144 for 6 make that.
Harry Podmore then, former Middlesex player, walks out to the crease. Played second 11 most of this season, then was drafted into that makeshift first-class team, taking on Sussex. Got a 3-for in his first innings, and with the bat also contributed 37 and then a quick fire 36 not out in the second innings. A few decent looking strokes down the back end of that match that enough to cause some sensation on social media, as they tend to do these days. Takes his guard, number 1 on the back. Kent 144 for 6. And a dot ball to start.
Yeah, good again from Cullen. Good game awareness, just following Podmore after he shuffled back to make room and open up the offside, but didn't get a free swing of the arms. High quality dot ball at this stage of an innings. Podmore, of course, on a ground he knows well, having been at Middlesex. Three out on the leg side.
Oh, thick outside edge. Take that off the mark. This is really good stuff from Middlesex down the back end, really stalling things, mainly by taking a flurry of wickets. Finch there will feel frustrated at the other end. On the cusp of his, facing now, but on the cusp of his 50, he's seen a flurry of wickets. Not much he can do about it.
Third man inside the circle for the last ball. Mid-off goes back.
This one's high in the air. He's on his 50, he's looking for the boundary, but there's a man underneath it, and he's taken the catch. Harry Finch looking for his half century, looking to get there in style. He falls 3 short, and Middlesex, they have their 7th.
I tell you what, Blake Cullen, what an impressive young bowler he is. His second wicket in the over, both came via the short ball. One of the slower variety, and that a fraction pacier. Just getting big on Finch, who's batted really well for 47. But 7th wicket falls. Just 2 overs to go. Finn and Helm to send down overs number 19 and 20. And the problem Kent have had in the second half of their innings have been consistent wickets, and 2 more there in the 18th over.
So then, now going to see the third of the 3 Scotland imports making his way to the crease.
So Finn to bowl over 19 from the pavilion end.
Safian Sharif, more known for his bowling than his batting, but he's going to be on strike to face Finn in this penultimate over. No, Podmore it was. Gets the single.
Yeah, Sharif, another player with experience over here, played in the Royal London Cup for Derbyshire a couple of years ago. A lot of international cricket. 42 times he's turned out for Scotland in T20s. 30 years of age.
And his left one. He's left a ball in the penultimate over. Top ball then. Finn will take that.
Yeah, unorthodox.
Yeah, I was going to say his strike rate is pretty phenomenal, but strike rate as far as bowler is concerned. 17.5 in T20 cricket. So much to write home with the bat. Oh, it's gone wide. Part of a plan as he turns this into the onside, and he's off the mark then, straight away. My mistake, hacked off to Sharif.
Yeah, we just missed umpire long signal. just obscured a bit from where he is at the moment, but in the end, a good leave.
Slower ball, very slow ball, and really, really well weighted by Podmore there.
I would love to see the radar on that. I mean, Steve Finn, in his pomp, bowled at the better part of 100 mile an hour, like right up there above 95 on occasion. But that was that might have been in the 60s.
That's getting to Matty Parkinson levels there.
Yeah,
Bit of flight on that.
absolutely.
Any spinner would be proud. Back up there then. I'm going to push for 2. I think they are. Going to be in with a chance here, and I think he may well be gone. The umpire says no from this angle. Just thought for a moment that he had it. Not this time. Kent then moved past 150, 151. And the 19th over. 8 balls left of this match. This innings even. Appeal for caught behind. I wonder if that was down the leg side or maybe caught a tickle of the thigh pad. In the end, dot ball.
On track for a pretty big negative split here, Kent, and by that I mean more runs in the first 10 than the second 10.
I like that phrase, a negative split. Behind the over 8. Finn just about delivering that final one before cut-up. I think he's done all right. They needed to hurry. So 152 for 7. They make their way quickly around the field for this final over.
Quite interesting watching the last couple of balls of the previous over. Steve Finn running back to his mark. He got that in by my clock with 3 seconds to spare. Had he fallen the other side of it, and had the umpires seen fit to have penalised Middlesex for that, what it would have meant was one extra fielder inside the circle for the 20th over. That's the sanction this year in the Blast.
Helm then with that final over. That one stayed low. I think he's got a dot ball there, he has.
And I don't mind that. If you are behind your over 8, I think that's not a bad mechanism for white ball cricket. So 5 are permitted outside the circle at this stage of the innings, or after the power play, but it becomes 4 from the moment that you go through the time barrier, and that was 7:34 after allowances. So they add an extra minute for every wicket and so on.
So it's an immediate, very tangible incentive, isn't it?
Yes.
To stick within the time limits. Quick single.
Yeah, and runs work well, and if over rates are looked at in a more serious way at test level, for example, it probably only could be runs. But yeah, white ball cricket, I quite like that. As you say, it's in play. There's a clear incentive for the fielding team. It's dynamic. The time changes on the scoreboard. In this case, 7:34 was the cutoff. That's because they've added time with each wicket, which makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, well played by the ECB for finding a good solution for that works better than runs, I think.
Weighted nicely by Podmore. Now come back for 2. Easily enough. 155 for 7. 3 balls left of this innings. Not quite the total that Kent would have been hoping for halfway through. And they were well set for pushing towards the 200 mark. But a competitive one nevertheless. Well, that was a wayward delivery, and that's going to be called a wide. Almost lucky not to have a no ball and the free hit that comes with it. That one just I don't know what he did there. I think he just released it completely the wrong point.
Yeah, one of those, as a bowler, you're looking around thinking, I hope that's a wide. And it was. Had it been a no ball, he would have been in a bit of strife in terms of the free hit.
Gives himself room and is bowled. Out goes the peg. Back goes the batter. Podmore, he departs, and Middlesex, they've got their 8th.
Yeah, well bowled. This stage of the innings, if you're not bowling a slower ball and not bowling an off-pace bouncer, you've got to be fast and at the base of the stumps. And in the case of Helm, targeting leg stump after room was made, Podmore stood no chance.
Well then, 8 down. A couple of balls still left, and Elliot Hooper is making his way to the crease. Now, Elliot Hooper is a young man indeed. So I say a very young man, in 25 years, but young in terms of his career. He played one first-class match, but it wasn't the one that's just gone. He played a first-class match back in 2019.
Against Middlesex when he was playing for Sussex. Yeah. But, second game of professional cricket. Had to wait. Yes, it's required circumstances to conspire in the way they have over the last week down at Canterbury, but great opportunity for the left-arm spinner.
Product of the Loughborough MCCU. Grown up down south. Went through the Sussex pathways. Here he is. He waits. Has a dart at that one.
He tried to hit down on that cut shot. I mean, I wonder whether the better play there, knowing that in all probability Helm's going short, is to try and open up the offside and try and go up down towards third man. And if you get the right angle on it, it could be a boundary. But hitting down, not necessarily playing the percentages at this stage of the innings. Last ball here.
156 for 8. What can Kent do with this final delivery? It's short. He hasn't got anything on it. They'll run through, and it means that after 20 overs, Kent finish somewhat deflatedly on 157 for 8. Come through for a bye. And it means that Middlesex will feel, in those last 10 overs especially, that was a job very well done, and will feel in confident mood, Adam Collins, chasing this down.
Yeah, Kent were 60 for 2 at the end of the power play and 93 for 2 at the halfway mark. And from there, you're really thinking, given how well they've played and how well they've defended, they are very well placed to push on to 170, 180. But that's where Middlesex were able to turn the screws. And it was a bit of a combined effort, wasn't it? It was the work of Nathan Souter, 1 for 20 from 4 overs. That actually started things off. Yes, 1 wicket, but it was the economy rate that he went at. Blake Cullen, 4 for 33, again outstanding. We've been so impressed by the way that he's bowled this year across the formats. So in the couple of first-class games he's played, and here in the Blast, he's now up to 19 wickets in the season. Tom Helm, 1 for 23, bowled really well at the death. And Majib, 2 for 36. Steve Finn, the one bowler who didn't take a wicket, the captain, none for 43, but bowled well with the 19th over when Kent were, in theory at least, trying to go the bash. It didn't quite come off though. 157 for 8, their score. Finch, 47, getting his chance tonight. Heino Kuhn, the stand-in captain. We thought it was Zach Crawley, but Heino Kuhn, according to the card, doing the job. He made 42. Crawley, 26 with 3 sixes early on, but Blake Cullen picked him up second ball, and from there it's all single digits. So as far as the chase from here is concerned, that's in a good spot for Middlesex compared to where they were at the halfway mark.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of felt those as one of those could run away with Kent when you had that Kuhn-Finch partnership in the middle, the youngster and the more experienced as well. kind of thought, right, they're setting the platform now. They've got a few wickets in hand. But of course, I think with this sort of second 11 almost playing for Kent at this stage, it meant that firepower down the order was rather lacking. And Middlesex were able to run through it with reasonable ease.
So the target's 158. We'll take a quick break here at Lord's. Adam Collins and Isabel Westbury. We'll grab a cup of tea or a bottle of water or something like that. We'll be back at Lord's in about 5 minutes. Baron Chopra, Sam Robson make their way to the middle in pursuit of 158 runs for victory. The last game that Middlesex will play at Lords in the Vitality Blast in season 2021. And they did well to drag it back after the visiting Kent side did get off to a bit of a flyer, courtesy of Zach Crawley especially, 3 sixes inside that power play, but 158 should not be daunting. O'Riordan to start with the ball. Spin for Kent from the nursery end. Robson, veteran of the club, but inexperienced at T20 level, relatively speaking. On strike to start. Round the wicket. Gets off the mark. We mentioned off the top is that Sam Robson, until last week, it had been 1 day short of 10 years since his previous T20 for Middlesex in the July of 2011. But got back to being a 3 format player via runs in the twos, the old-fashioned way. Chopra off the mark first ball as well. In the case of Robson, very consistent in that seconds campaign where they made it to finals day, including 70 off 46 deliveries against Sussex, and of course he made quite outstanding 154 against Leicestershire in the championship on Sunday. Second century of the season. The senior pro back in form. Made 165 here on opening day against Somerset in a most aesthetically pleasing innings all the way back at the start of April. Using his feet here.
Such a Robson whip as well, through the onside. We've seen that so often when he's playing in his whites. Just as effective here.
Long on, deep mid-wicket, the two outside the circle. So 4 singles to begin. Happy just to work their way into this. They know what they're after, and I know that building a foundation, yes, it's a 20-over chase, but just getting to the end of the power play in good shape, not giving any wickets away, that's important too. So just 4 runs from the O'Riordan over. A good one at that from around the wicket. Chopra, so many runs, so many games over such a long period of time. A couple of centuries and 20 half centuries at T20 level. An Essex mainstay, of course, a stint with Warwickshire as well for 6 seasons, then back to Essex. Not really, though, been in the T20 calculations for Essex since 2018. Played a handful of games in 2019. Wasn't involved on finals day. And Essex were happy to part with him for the next stage of the season, both in there's a couple of blast games to round out Middlesex's season, and then through the Royal London Cup, which starts the week after next. .44 in his last second 11 match. In fact, against Middlesex. Second 11 T20 Cup. So Matt Quinn to start from the pavilion end. In position. Could look for 2. And they'll get it. Yep, still got it. Maybe 34 years of old. Still pretty swift between those wickets. Very long shadows encroaching onto that square leg boundary now. Lovely sight. Across the line, but into the gap behind square. Could be 4 there. Just cut off at the last. Of course, Quinn hails from New Zealand. Lots of cricket for Essex. Member of their victorious team in 2017-2019. And a good story too, good twist at the end. Goes to Kent on loan, signs a long-term deal. Worked out okay.
Wide ball called. Add that to the total. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I am sort of strangely fascinated to see how this works in the next couple of weeks. We touched on it during the first innings, but with track and trace as it will be through the 100, through the Royal London Cup, indeed through the first two test matches between England and India. Again down the leg side, signalled again by umpire Long. That helps. There will be players who have to miss games, and there'll be groups of players who are often ruled out. I mean, in the case of Middlesex, Peter Hanscom tested positive last week, but the other players with him weren't considered close contacts, having played their previous game at Cheltenham, which was outdoors, rather than inside a dressing room, as was the case with the England men's team, Bristol. Quick single. Well played. But yes, we'll see. I expect a lot of player movement to keep these games and keep these leagues going through what will be a very challenging time with the proliferation of COVID-19 in the last couple of weeks, and what we expect to see will be an uptick in the numbers in the next couple of weeks.
It's one of those you want to keep your cricket kit in the back of your car.
Yes.
You never know when you're going to get the call up.
Available or selected. I might buy one of those replica shirts tonight just in case. Of course, we'll be at Radlett for the 4 Royal London Cup home games.
In fact, talking about being in the right time, in the right place, I owe a lot to Ben Watts this evening, who I urgently messaged. He broadcast a lot for BBC Kent and the county champ games, and for many of the county games around the country for when Kent are playing. And he filled me in on a few of the youngsters that were we were slated to possibly play in this Kent lineup. We weren't really sure until about an hour before the match who was going to feature.
Slower ball, well executed.
But when Kent then announced they were going to have 3 Scotland internationals, he thought, gosh, it must have been a middle of the night heist. So they got them flown down or something like that. But Callum McLeod actually lives in Kent. He's been playing in the Kent Premier League for Lordswood during the summer. So he wasn't flown down.
Yeah, not quite popping him on a plane at 2 o'clock
so
this
much
afternoon.
Better though, doesn't it?
It did. Well, they had in their tweet, Kent, that they had the plane emoji for the 3 Scottish players when they... Oh, he's bowled him! Robson loses his leg stump. Middlesex lose their first wicket with the score on 11. Just trying to whip him into the onside. But a bit of extra pace there from Quinn. Robson bowled for 2. In the end, he was all the way across his stumps and bowled around his legs.
It just seemed to be getting the hang of things there, that Middlesex duo. And all of a sudden, it's a horrid dismissal, the one where you see a leg stump go flying. You've judged it all wrong, you got the line wrong, played around it, and he has to head back towards the pavilion. So Joe Cracknell, who we saw a moment ago just come and seat himself in the dugout in front of us, has been called to the middle.
Yeah, his 2 half-centuries earlier in the blast out at Radlett were top class. 67 and 77. The first of those was match winning against Hampshire alongside John Simpson. As Sandstorm plays around Lords, not the most natural bedfellows, Darude and the MCC, I wouldn't have thought, but hey, we'll go with it.
Oh, there's a certain ring to it around here.
So 2 overs gone, 11 for 1. Podmore, the former Middlesex man, will get an opportunity here. He'll start over the wicket. No slip. Quick single. Yes, no, says Cracknell. Nearly the run-out opportunity. In the end, they get a sundry. It'll be signalled a leg by. But for the briefest moment, what looked to be a pretty nervous call from Cracknell, and in the follow-through, Podmore tried to do as Mark Wood did a couple of weeks ago and hit the stumps with his boot. Not to be.
think Mark Wood, when he managed to right foot tap into the stumps, it was Festina Asprilla. He shouted out the man he was emulating in football colours. I wonder who Podmore would have shouted out this time.
Who would you shout
Muller,
out?
though,
Shearer, if you
passed
wouldn't
it wide there.
Here's Podmore. So Cracknell's first ball knocked into the onside. He's got very rubbery wrist, the right-hander. It might start a bit of a trend with Stump Mike picking up everything, certainly in international cricket. Who was the footballer you were calling the name out of when trying to boom it back onto the stumps?
I mean, if
with your foot?
it's Alan Shearer, you've got to have the celebration to go with it as well.
Shot. Yeah, he's class, Cracknell.
Really well played, really well weighted as well, and just lent on that backward cut. Using the slope of Lords. Annoying one for the fielder. He thought at first he was in with a shout, but it ran away from him. And a nice looking boundary.
I mean, sure, a fraction short, a fraction wide, but with a deep cover point and two fielders inside the circle there, he had to be precise, and he was. And brute force out towards deep square leg, and he's taken. Cracknell falls for 4. Podmore gets the second breakthrough. And Middlesex in a little bit of strife at 16 for 2.
Oh, look how he hangs his head there. He went off for the run, and then suddenly he realised exactly what he'd done. A man placed down on the boundary. He knew he was there. He hadn't got hold of it. And as Adam says, Middlesex in a bit of strife, 16 for 2.
Well, their target's 158, which means they don't need to get carried away. Early wickets, it's not by any stretch out of sight. However, only a couple of balls to go in the third over. We're nearly halfway through the power play. And no Stevie Eskenazi tonight. If you're just joining the broadcast, Stevie Eskenazi tore a groin muscle out at Merchant Taylor School this week. Darryl Mitchell, the new man in. The New Zealand international. Middlesex overseas player. He really has made an impact across every game he's played, Mitchell. Be it with the white ball or the red. In the wickets, in the runs. Wasn't required to bowl today, but yes, very consistent. A really good signing. A 3-format international for his country as well. Out here, of course, as part of the extended World Test Championship squad that New Zealand had here. So he completed his quarantine and stuck around to play here with Middlesex, replacing Paul Sterling. Deep mid-wicket, deep square leg. Podmore in. First ball for Mitchell, eased into the onside. I should say Chopra on strike. They did cross. So he moves to 8. Yes, but Mitchell strikes me as the kind of player who might be invited back to play future seasons here at Lords.
Seems to have settled in nicely as well around the squad. A popular character, a lot of experience, and a useful man with both. He's one of those you can just turn to in moments when you're a little bit lost for what to do or who to insert. Mitchell's there.
End of another successful over, 18 for 2. Mitchell off the mark. Rich sporting pedigree that Mitchell comes from, the son of John Mitchell, the defensive coach of the England rugby team. Born and raised in Hamilton, the Tron as they call it over there. Beautiful ground, Seddon Park. One of my favourite in the world.
Yeah, some of those New Zealand grounds are really lovely, aren't they? Amazing surrounds. Quite often short boundaries as well. You might enjoy it if you're a batter.
Yeah. I did a game at Hamilton on Waitangi Day about 5 years ago. It was Brendan McCullum's last one-day international. And it was packed and heaving and big, deep grass banks. A wonderful place to watch cricket. The New Zealanders on strike here. Sharif, his first ball, the Scottish international. Happy with singles so far. It's unfortunate we haven't seen an awful lot of Scotland the last couple of years, partly a function of COVID-19. Of course, the last time they played against England, it was a stunning victory up at the Grange in 2018. Oh, inside edge, Chopra gets a single for it, but not in control.
Yeah, it's one of those things that with the pandemic, it's sort of hit the smaller nations the hardest. A very skewed number of matches sort of played by the bigger teams. England have got the bulk of them, mainly because they've staged them and sort of made sure they've had the biosecure environments for teams to come across. But a lot of the associate nations have suffered.
Oh, that's got to be really close. Yep, that's out. Mitchell across his stumps, his leg before wicket for 2. Middlesex are now in a tough situation, 20 for 3. Just the way that he made his way across the woodwork when it went past his inside edge and hit him beneath the knee roll, there was only really one decision that umpire Long was going to give.
Now I saw Max Holden come and settle himself down inside the dugout as well a few moments ago, just waiting, thinking that next wicket might fall, but they've happened rather more quickly than I think the home side may have liked.
And look, Holden's a man in form. He made an unbeaten half-century at Cheltenham last Friday, 38 here against Sussex the previous time he played at Lords. He's just worked his way into the season after losing his spot in the county championship side after 5 rounds. Had a pretty ordinary run opening the batting, but last year, of course, he made his maiden T20 century off 60 balls out at Chelmsford, so he can do it. Normally does it at the top of the order, but yes, coming in halfway through the 4th here, target of 158. They're well behind the pace in this game. Looking at Duckworth Lewis, not that it matters, it will not be raining tonight, but the notional target for DLS right now is 40, and Middlesex are only half of that.
You could have an unscheduled thunderstorm just break out in front of us.
No, a
Feels
stunning
unlikely.
night here. Perfect. Oh, again, Sharif, stump to stump. Yeah, as you were acknowledging before the wicket, I mean, yeah, associate nations. It was women's cricket yesterday, last year rather, that copped it to begin with, and associate cricket alongside that. We seem to have got international women's cricket back going in the right direction through 2021, but it's not quite been the same for the associate nations, who aren't getting the same kinds of invitations they were. Mentioned Scotland's win. Of course, a famous victory here at Lords in 2009, T20 World Cup for Holland, when they knocked off England in the tournament opener. Wonderful podcast from our friend and colleague Jared Kimber about that was released today, actually. Going through almost the oral history of how did Holland do it. Not long after when you were living there, Izzy, and playing with them.
My teammate, Tom de Groot, got 49 on that evening.
Yeah. Holden off the mark on the pull. End of another successful over. They've been 3 on the trot for the visitors. Middlesex 21 for 3. They'll need to go at 8.6 and over from here to win. Yes, but hoping there'll be good opportunities later this year. Of course, we saw the groups for the T20 World Cup announced today.
Guess what? India and Pakistan will be playing each other.
Funny that. Isn't it remarkable that every time there's an ICC event, that they just happen to have in the same pool? Randomly allocate India and Pakistan to play. I mean, it's a staggering run. I mean, if you're playing at roulette or rolling the dice, as it were, I mean, this is where we're at.
Somebody should work out
odds.
the statistics
Yes.
on that.
Here's Quinn, second over, changed ends. In that qualifying tournament, that they play before the formal T20 World Cup. There will be 6 teams trying to make it into the final 4 spots. When 6 become 4, it's not quite when 2 become 1. That the Spice Girls work better for them than it does on the T20 Global Cricket scale. It's Quinn again. Chopra, who's been conservative so far, 9 from 9 balls.
Almost had to be in a way. Just trying to work out the pitch in front of him. See those wickets falling at the other side as well. And he's an experienced man. He knows that when the time comes and he needs to, he can fire. Still, it's quite a steep chase at this stage. Need to go at just under 9s and over from here on in.
Swing and a miss. I've misled you there, Izzy. It's actually 6 teams playing for 2 spots. So the host nation, India, of course, it's being held in the UAE, but they are still the host nation. Pakistan, Australia, England, South Africa, New Zealand, West Indies, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and then Scotland, Netherlands, Papua New Guinea, Ireland, Namibia, and Oman. They'll play that qualifying tournament for the 2 weeks before the formal T20 World Cup, notwithstanding what the administrators call it. They aren't part of the T20 World Cup, those 6 nations. They'll get the chance to play in it via the qualifier immediately before it. All set to take place in October and November this year. I think they're playing the entire qualifying part in Oman, and they move over to the UAE for the tournament proper. So Quinn around the wicket, very wide of the crease. So we're in the middle of a consolidation here. Despite the fact that the field is in, Middlesex realising that they're going to have to approach this a different kind of way. They can't really afford to lose a 4th wicket at this stage. But that required rate isn't out of control. It's 8.8 and over from here. Top edge. Short fine leg, running back with the flight. Sharif can't quite make it. The first time we've seen Chopra really play across the line. Didn't get anywhere near enough of it.
Still there though, and that's what Middlesex will be concerned about at this stage. He'd won one of the top 5 to rather anchor the innings through. And Chopra, I think, he knows that responsibility is his. Nifty batting gloves there. I don't think I've seen any black ones before. Laced with fluorescent yellow. Snazzy.
Sharif starts a new over. Down the track, Chopra. Seeing a little bit of purpose now from the veteran, but only gets 1. It'll be John Simpson in next. We can see him just in the dugout alongside us, playing a bit of shadow batting. Of course, he was playing international cricket just a few days ago. That must have been a great feeling for Simpson, especially walking back into the dressing room yesterday or maybe this evening. Hopefully he had his England kit on at the time. I mean, his whole playing uniform, I would imagine. I mean, you have to, wouldn't you? After waiting that long for the call-up.
You'd have been celebrating all night in your England kit, I reckon.
You just don't take it off. Go straight from, where were they? Edgbaston, the 3rd game, wasn't it? Back into the Middlesex cap. Probably had the series winner medal still on.
You'd have slept in it 100%.
Yeah, of course. Walk back in. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was wearing this England. So I'll get changed into the Middlesex uniform now. My apologies, guys. I just got up a little bit extra there from Sharif. It's going very nicely here. He sent down 9 deliveries, conceding just 4 runs and the 1 wicket in his column, that of Daryl Mitchell. Big wicket. Just 3 balls left in the power play. outside the circle, backward square leg, deep mid-wicket. That's the part of the ground that Max Holden loves accessing, I should say. Getting on the back foot and crunching that pull shot. Makes room here, full toss, can't be cover, good fielding. Really good bit of work there by Heino Kuhn, the veteran.
Flying across the turf there.
Likes it too, smile on his face.
Defies his 37 years of age.
Yeah. Most experienced campaigner, former international for South Africa. Bit high that, umpire long turns it down. Get through for a leg by.
You're feeling pretty comfortable here, Kent, knowing that sooner or later the power play about to finish, Middlesex going to have to start taking a few more risks.
End of the power play. Middlesex, they're in a hole, losing Sam Robson for 2. It was 11 for 1. Then it was 16 for 2 when Joe Cracknell holed out, struck a glorious cut shot from the previous delivery, but straight down the throat of Munsey at deep square from the bowling of Podmore. And then Sharif, with his third delivery, struck Daryl Mitchell plumb in front for 2. So Holden is there on 5 and Chopra 12 have a lot of work to do from here. Still 130 runs away from the victory target, which is 158. Just 14 overs to get there. Around the country, it's a very interesting one down at the Rose Bowl today. Hampshire defeated Essex by 18 runs. But in the second game they're playing, double header, you don't see them too often. Sussex have won the toss and elected the bat, so Hampshire 2 games on the same day. Reverse sweep here from Holden. First ball from Hooper, the left arm spinner. Now out of the power play, we'll see a lot more spin. 2 tweakers in the Kent lineup, O'Riordan and Hooper, who again wouldn't have expected to have been playing tonight. I wonder when he found out. I wonder when Hooper found out he was going to be part of the team tonight. It's his second professional game and his first game for 2 years at a new club. And bowls him. Gets himself a wicket. Second ball with his new club. Chopra's gone for 12. Middlesex 30 for 4.
That one stayed very low indeed, but it was an unorthodox, slightly unsightly looking shot there from Chopra. He'd been frustrated all evening, hadn't really got hold of them, went for the big heave-ho. And well, Elliot Hooper, the man from Sussex, he gets his man.
Just a nice bit of flight, really. Snifter of turn as well. Chopra, after making room, committed to the stroke. And you can see in the celebration from Hooper, he's one happy man. Back in the professional game and straight back in the book. John Simpson, England's John Simpson to the middle. It's going to take something pretty special from him here, the veteran, 32 years of age, alongside Holden. So a pair of southpaws. But Middlesex are now really chasing this game, and Kent, who are made of stern stuff, already have 4 wickets in his defence of 157. 3 out on the leg side. Off the mark, Simpson. Another shout. Leg byes will be confirmed. So in Group 2 fair, I mentioned that Hampshire accounted for Essex earlier today. Keeps them in the 4. Over at Cardiff, Somerset made 181 for 5, and in response, Glamorgan 23 for 1 down the leg side there, signalled accordingly. So an early wicket for Jack Leach, but Devon Conway, what can't he? What is it that he can't do at the moment? 70 not out, batting through the innings, 52 balls there for Somerset in Cardiff.
And he's a man who's had a good English summer today.
Into the over.
Now look at that glorious sunshine. If you're lucky enough.
Tim Murtagh on the screen between overs. Oh, there he goes. Downing the beer, Tim Murtagh in the crowd.
You can tell he's got a night off.
Have that. There with his wife Karina, enjoying herself as well.
Karina's been very involved as well with the Ruth Strauss Foundation.
Well, she's the chief executive, of course, raising money tonight.
So lovely to see her celebrating the evening. I'm sure they've donated as well. Please do donate where you can.
That's great footage. Tim Murtagh sculling a beer in the outer at Lord's and popping it on his head when he was done. Turning 40 on the 2nd of August, Tim.
Went on camera.
Yep. Make it count. So Podmore, pavilion end. Long off, deep point, deep backward square, deep mid wicket, long on. Swing and a miss outside the off stump. This is not going well for the home side, to say the least.
Yeah, Murtagh's enjoying himself in the stands, but nobody on the pitch, perhaps. In Middlesex colours.
So we should mention again the Ruth Strauss Foundation raising money for that wonderful cause here this evening. That's why Middlesex are wearing the blue and red tops. Easy single there. They might want a second. No, they're happy with the one. Good fielding there from the veteran Hino Kuhn again, racing in off the rope at deep mid wicket. If you want one of these lovely tops, the replica tops from the Middlesex online store, that's very straightforward. Just go on there, Middlesex Club website. You can have a red and blue replica shirt that's being worn tonight. Oh, up-ish and taken. Zach Crawley in there at cover. It's Podmore with his second against his old club. John Simpson falls for 3, and Middlesex are reeling at 36 for 5.
It's a horrid dismissal. Just a little bit early on. Didn't pick the slower ball. Just popped it up into the hands. Easy as you like of extra cover. It's been a difficult time with the bat for John Simpson. Not a great string of form running into the ODIs. So work to do both for him a bit later on, but for Middlesex right now, a bit of strife.
Yeah, this Kent team are made of tough stuff. They are well on their way to a victory that would secure them a home quarter-final in this competition. Coming in 8-3, they did the double over Surrey in their most recent 2 games, but 11 changes tonight. And sure, they didn't quite bat the way they could have after getting off to a good start. They did get dragged back by Middlesex's bowlers, but I'll tell you what, their replacement seamers, Podmore and Sharif, have been bang on. Hooper in the book as well. The required rate already up to 10 and over. This will feel good for Podmore against his old club.
Saw Nathan Souter moments ago kitting up. Put on a chest guard. You can see it protruding from underneath his shirt. Looking a bit of short pitch bowling, perhaps.
Yeah, sounded a good number 7. He's played some important innings for the club. And beaten here on the inside edge. Yeah, super over, Harry Podmore. Just 2 singles and the wicket coming from it. Middlesex 36 for 5.
Head over to the Middlesex Cricket online store and buy one of these replica Ruth Strauss Foundation cricket shirts. They're limited edition. They'll only be up for a limited time. A proportion of the proceeds go to the Ruth Strauss Foundation. So head over there and buy them, please.
Marcus O'Riordan, who conceded just 4 singles from the first over of this defensive 157. Set the tone for Kent. Has the ball back in his hand from the nursery end. Flat to start, worked away for a single. O'Riordan, an all-rounder, has opened the batting in first-class cricket as well, did so last year. Again, Middlesex trying to just consolidate somehow. Lay a foundation to see what's possible in the final 6 or 7 overs, but they're so far away from being in that striking distance at this stage, and the Middlesex faithful in the crowd almost certainly realise it. High in the air, down towards deep backward square, an opportunity here, and it's taken! A 6th wicket for Kent. A lovely bit of work there on the rope. A wicket for Marcus O'Riordan. And Middlesex, dear me, 38 for 6.
I was just about to say, previous delivery, that Max Holden was a man in form as far as T20 cricket was concerned. 15 not out in his previous innings against Gloucester. He felt if there was one man that maybe they could hang on to some hope, Max Holden would be it, but I mean Middlesex now very much in danger of being bowled out pretty soon.
It's Callum McLeod under that catch at deep backward square. Did it easily. Tom Helm walking in the 9th over.
First T20 wicket then for Marcus O'Riordan. He played one T20 match before. Didn't pick up anything.
After Middlesex did show some signs of being more than competitive through the middle stage of this season, they've really fallen away here. A win against Sussex here, a depleted Sussex. They had 6 players out who were self-isolating. They did that easy, and at that stage they were within touching distance, but bad loss to Somerset. Weren't able to get the job done at Cheltenham last week. Well on their way to a heavy defeat here. On the bottom of the table in the Southern Group. And unless something against the grain, very much against the grain, happens from here, that's where they'll finish the season as well. Flat from O'Riordan.
Yeah, to have Souter and Helmet at this stage, if something's gone terribly, terribly wrong. And so often we've said that on paper, Middlesex have it all. Ready and firing. Not in practice.
Helm off the mark. End of the over. First wicket there for O'Riordan. 1 for 7 from his 2 overs. Just 3 singles in the wicket there. That of Holden, who you've described as the last recognised Middlesex batsman. gorgeous night here at Lord's, but it's not been a competitive chase so far. Elliot Hooper, 1 for 5 his figures. The wicket of Chopra.
I feel as
All been
though
in the book so far.
something went wrong when he didn't come a seamer who hooped it round corners. Absolutely no nominative determinism in deciding how Hooper might bowl.
That DLS pass score, which you can, it's not a bad barometer when you're watching a T20 or even a 50 over chase. That currently reads 94. Middlesex aren't even half of that. 41 for 6. Make that 42 for 6. Their last home game here at Lord's. Quicker ball there from Hooper. Just picked up from Helm at the last possible moment. Gets himself a single.
Highest score so far in a Middlesex shirt is 12. Nobody else has made double figures beyond Varun Chopra.
Oh, and he's bowled as well. Souter loses his off stump. And a wonderful celebration from Hooper. He gets a second wicket. On both occasions hitting the stumps. 43 for 7. They're plumbing some depth tonight, the home side.
Almost to the point where you wonder why Kent went to the extent of corralling their Scotland internationals down to help them, because at the moment the youngsters from Kent, the stand-in makeshift 11, are doing it all for them.
Blake Cullen walking out at number 9 in the 10th over. There'll be a lot of frustration for Middlesex fans here at Lord's tonight, or watching on the stream, or following the game online, and they'll be bewildered at this. Oh, that's close. Turned down. Might have just been sliding down the leg side, but I thought it might have been Hooper on a hat trick. Not to be. End of an over where he picked up his second wicket. Middlesex, they're 44 for 7. Over £400 raised thanks to London Fields Brewery, who are chipping in 20 quid for every 4 or 6 hit this evening. Our sponsor on tonight's stream, we thank them for that. londonfieldsbrewery.co.uk. O'Riordan starting his third over. Spin from both ends.
Oh, that's going to be close.
Turned down.
It's been quite the sedate innings so far from Middlesex.
Well, Middlesex's lowest score in T20 cricket is 92. O'Riordan with the quicker, flatter delivery. I kind of see what he was doing. Also Helm, who plays nicely down the ground, but no contact made. They're not yet halfway to that, having lost 7 wickets. You've got to go back to a London derby for that, when Surrey did the job over Middlesex in 2013 here at headquarters.
Yeah, they'll be running that close tonight. And to think as well, they've only scored 1 boundary in this innings so far. Cracknell back on a point, I think it was. in the third over of Podmore, and that's it. That's the sum total.
One boundary. And I think with the benefit of hindsight, it was the very start of the innings, wasn't it? They were happy to take the ones, but they weren't willing to take on the spin of O'Riordan in the first over. It was quite a conservative start, which does mean you do find yourself in strife if there are wickets thereafter, and there are a clutter of them.
Down the track from Cullen, they think about turning that into 2, but decide against it. Sensible then at this stage.
So at the end of 11 overs of this Middlesex chase, they've still got 110 runs to go if they're to pull off what would be a beyond belief victory from here, just 3 wickets in hand. Izzy, I should have passed over to you from the previous over. I'll do so now. You can drive this to the line.
How many overs am I going to get? That's the question. I don't think it will go round to the 20. Well, we'll see. Lots of work then for both Tom Helm and Blake Cullen, not really to win this match anymore, but to bring it to a respectable total. Here's Podmore, enjoying himself in Kent colours. Two wickets for 8 runs from his 2 overs so far. Only Safian Sharif, Scotland international, bettering him on the economy. Sharif was 1 for 6 from his 2, so no doubt we'll be seeing him shortly as well. Nicely played. I just wonder what's going through the minds of these two, well, I'm going to say Middlesex bowlers, because that's what they are, that's what their discipline is.
I think they're just got to be positive and keep the ball ticking over and look to, I mean, you don't want to say play selfishly, but be there at the end.
Stayed low.
Especially in the case of Blake Cullen, a young man who has made such an impression in recent weeks. Tom Helm bowled beautifully today. I feel sorry for the Middlesex bowlers, truth be told. Not the first time I said that this season.
Making room for himself. Yeah, it often happens, doesn't it? When you think they work so hard to restrain Kent as well. As you can see, a sort of ironic applause around the ground. It's getting louder and louder really too. As Middlesex have reached their 50. Oh, we've got fire as well. Get out the big guns. Because Middlesex have reached their half century.
I'm not sure if that might have been from the on the presentation side of having to be joining in with the crowd a little bit. A bit of fun there by playing the fire.
Ironic cheers and ironic fire.
And the charge. Yes.
Well, it's a laugh or cry situation in that respect, and I think they're having a jolly good laugh.
Oh, it's all part of it. It's all part of it. Give the crowd something to enjoy and cheer about on a beautiful Friday night.
Actually picked off the legs. A couple more to the total. Crowd getting behind them. Every run counts. Might as well enjoy it while they can.
Yeah, I mentioned sort of sympathising with the Middlesex bowlers. I mean, they have bowled, be it in the Championship or the Blast. I mean, they have really done a commendable job. Looking back at the Championship, that first round here, and the bowlers put them into a fantastic position and it just slipped away. So instead of knocking off Somerset, what would have been a famous victory to start the season, instead it was a stunning chase from the visitors and finished bottom of the group in the Championship.
And Reardon's in. The dot ball, nicely hit.
Just 82 points across the 10 games they played in that initial stage. So they'll be in Division 3 of the recalibrated second portion of the season.
Reverse sweep, very fine. Not much momentum on it. Enough for a couple.
He's not playing this evening, but Ethan Bamber, Tim Murtagh.
Bamber, of course, been called up for the cross-county 11 to
the County All-Stars. Now, that's quite exciting and a good recognition of what he's achieved this year, Bamber.
Nicely played.
Yeah, Bamber in excess of 30 wickets, likewise Tim Murtagh.
The All-Stars 11, I like that idea. Is that what we're calling them?
Yeah, I think we were calling it that before we saw the team named. It's not the best 11 from the counties as such. It's a bit of a hybrid team. Recognition for players like Bamber who've excelled in season 2021. A couple of younger players, a couple of older heads as well. Haseeb Hameed is playing next week, which is tremendously exciting. James Bracey will keep wicket.
Good nod to him. Keep going. This is good movement here. Good use of the feet from both the batters down the track.
Yeah, Rob Yates, another who's most certainly been one of the finds of 2021. Looking forward to it. 3 days next week up at Durham against the touring Indian team. Hopefully that gives Bamber another opportunity to showcase his talents.
It's not a bad platform to do it on. And it means that after 13 overs then, Middlesex are 58 for 7. Hooper continues from the pavilion end. Lovely use of the feet down the ground, and he may get 4 for it. That's a beautiful bit of fielding. Absolutely super stuff.
That's O'Riordan down there, and what a game he's been having. I mean, with the ball and now in the field. To think that Middlesex, struggling as they are to find the boundary, they are preserving every single run the visitors.
And again, good bit of fielding.
I mean, I don't expect that there's been a game in the Blast, perhaps ever, where there's only been one boundary struck. There might be a statistician listening, he might be able to check that.
This one's gone high in the air. Is there a man underneath it? There is. Almost misjudged it, slight overstep there. But Tom Helm trying to go over the top. All he can do is pick out the fielder in the deep. Long on has his man. Can have their 8th, and Middlesex and all sorts.
And that goes down to what they were able to achieve from the previous ball. I mean, cutting off that extra run, the diving stop from O'Riordan. It's just good energy, isn't it, in the field you're seeing from this team. That's why they're top of the table, and that's why they're going to have a home quarter-final. Yes, this might be the second team. Yes, they were signing players at 4:30 this afternoon, but they're a well-organised, well-drilled team who have a lot of belief in the dressing room, and we're seeing that full expression of that through this defence of 157. Just exceptional cricket.
Yeah, it really is. And Captain Finn walks, well, rather dejectedly to the crease. Not the position that he would have wanted to be walking out in, to be honest. He wouldn't have been wanting to walk out at all. Try and get his top 5 to do the job. Tom Helm, at least, he can claim he was the second man into double figures then this evening for Middlesex.
I'm quite keen, any budding statisticians out there, if you're watching the stream, can you let us know whether there's ever been a Blast game played or an innings played
Loopy.
with just one boundary?
I think now, it'd be rare. It'd be a rarity.
I mean, there's
always something you can try and put into a formula? I don't know, can you?
I think it's one of those things, you just have to know where to look.
Right.
You need a database. You're not going to be able to do it from probably the usual programs available online. You're going to need the special Sampson database, I reckon. That being Andrew Sampson, the master statistician from Test Match Special. He has every domestic number recorded from every game that's played. That's the sort of thing he can crunch. But it's proof that even in a game that's drifting and fundamentally non-competitive, you can still find something.
Nicely played.
So by contrast, Pakistan have smashed 232 for 6 against England. There must have been a few boundaries there as the end of the over. 63 for 8. 6 to go until the pain is over for Middlesex if they don't get bowled out before.
I mean, there's a statistics website that reads off all of the boundaries, and it's not even a summary anymore. It's almost a boundary of ball as far as Pakistan were concerned. I'm going to say they're about 40. Most of them sixes towards the back end. Absolute carnage over at Trent Bridge. England have quite the chase on their hands. Oh, and he's bowled him. Sharif there's got a second wicket of the evening. And it's 9 down for Middlesex. They find themselves 63 for 9. And Cullen is the man to go. Bowled all ends up. He departs for 9.
Yeah, Blake Cullen is not to blame. 4 for 33 with the ball. I mean, he bowled so well. And walking in this evening when he did, I mean, walking in at 43 for 7, you're on a hiding to nothing. I have to stress that point. This is not the fault of the bowling group, who really have done the job throughout the season. But yes, it's an extraordinary looking scoreboard. The lowest score Middlesex have made in T20 cricket all time, 92. Just one boundary in 14.1 overs, which is surely a record as well.
Full down my leg side, quarter wide. Another little cheer goes up round the crowd. Another run to the total. Futile creep towards that record low score. And you rather wonder they'll fall short by quite some margin, you'd think. Nicely played off the mark.
We've got Matt Quinn in front of us, who's doing the work there, the New Zealander. And we've had some audience interaction here from Adam Jones, who says that he's a dead ringer for Arthur Bostrom from Allo Allo, and I've looked it up, and there is a likeness there. Arthur Bostrom being about 30 years Quinn's senior, but you can see it in the face. Maybe a bit of salt and pepper in the hair as well when Quinn gets a bit older.
Full, patted back down. Nice looking shot there from Finn.
I've got some housekeeping as well. Stephen Stratford was in touch between innings to relay to us that you do not get a free hit with the above shoulder or above head no ball for bouncers in the blast. That passed me by. I thought we saw a game with a free hit after a bouncer last year, and I've just been going with it, but that's not in the playing regulations as sent to us, so always good to correct the record.
A bit of bat on ball, this is a little cheer around the ground. Two from two, both these batters. Runnable strike rate. What are we worrying about? Use the levers. No timing though from Finn. Nice looking bat in his hand.
Yes. One of our supporters in the county championship, Woodstock, using one of those bats tonight, Finny.
Come on then, show us what he's got, what they've got.
Hit a couple of big sixes in the second 11 earlier in the year, didn't he? Come on, Finny. No, not there.
Needs to use the woodwork.
Ouch, that hurt him, I think. That's smacked him on the hip, the unprotected part of the hip where there's no thigh pad. That's not fun. Beautiful there above the turrets, member stand. Not the best game of cricket, but I'm sure they've had a great time.
Sometimes in cricket it's incidental to the enjoyment of the evening. And you imagine that might be.
Didn't we see a game of blast cricket about 6 years ago, Izzy, at the Oval, which might have been a London derby, which ended in sort of similar circumstances quite prematurely. And it was the catalyst for a pitch invasion with punter after punter running out onto the ground and the police or the security staff treating it like it was rugby practice with the tackles they were putting on.
Horses in the air. But
Second
it's
boundary.
safe. And I think, are we on for our boundary?
No.
Oh, really good piece of fielding again. Boos ring around the ground. Middlesex searching for their second boundary. It's in vain.
Yeah, quite a good stop there from George Munsey. He had just put out one hand after the sliding stop.
Flighted. This has gone high up in the air. There's a man underneath it down in the long on boundary. And it's going to be 6. That's the second boundary. The second boundary for Middlesex is a maximum. Not only do they have a 4, but they have a 6 to go with it. And it's their number 11 batsman, Muji Brahman. Thank you very much.
Oh, the crowd love it. Ooh. Ah.
Marcus O'Riordan there did a good effort there to try and stop it. Couldn't quite pat it back. Down the ground this time instead. Where's the boundary? Shouts the crowd.
Gee, I tell you what, wasn't far away from being caught as well down there at Long On. O'Riordan, we've already seen he's a very useful fielder, but it would have taken, well, something that I'm not even sure Harleen Diol this time last week, best catch we've seen this year. I don't even think she would have been able to have kept her balance there.
Yeah, it was a tough ask. Good effort. Long handle there from Finn. And that might be the third. That's a wonderful piece of fielding again in the deep. I know Kuhn. How old did we say he was? Well, you wouldn't know from that. Flying himself around the outfield. Foiled in his attempt to find that boundary, Finn. So then, after 16 overs, Middlesex 78 for 9. 92, that's their lowest total ever.
92. So
Right.
what have we got?
Creeping
14
up.
runs away from that.
Creeping up. In sight, at least. Thank you to WG Rumblepants on Twitter,
Oh, yes.
who seems to have a very nice setup indeed. An iPad. I think there's a glass of wine I spotted as well.
WG Rumblepants, I'll tell you something about him.
Fantastic name, by the way. It's short. Stand and deliver. That's going to be another boundary, is it? No, it's not. It's hauled in front of the rope. Kuhn again.
Slow down.
The man to haul in the ball, and Rahman there is just getting into his stride. Why didn't that go all the way? He cries. He moves to 13 though, 80 for 9.
It's worth looking up WG Rumblepants on Twitter. He's creating a mural of anyone he deems, I suppose, worthwhile in the game from the start of cricket, from the start of the international game, all the way back in 1877.
Rahman on strike with his red and yellow shoes pushed back into his crease. No run.
And this week, to my bewilderment, surprise and deep pride, he's got a row of podcasters going across at the moment. So Jeff Lemon and I were at the Final Word podcast, and he thought he saw fit to put us on there alongside the Tailenders lads.
That's good company.
And Ellie Oldroyd as well.
Oh, Queen.
The funniest part of this, by the way.
Rahman waits. Tennis bat shot into the deep. Is it going to be caught? Yes, it is. Kent have their final wicket, and Middlesex are dismissed. 480, their lowest total in T20 cricket. Middlesex succumb tonight.
Chastening doesn't start to explain this type of experience for Middlesex. And not only does it confirm that they are going to finish last in this group, and some fans have got on the ground, which isn't ideal really. The security staff will tend to that. But in terms of where Middlesex are in T20 cricket, 3 wins from now, 12 completed games, 1 to come at Essex on Sunday, but lowest score ever. Just 2 boundaries, all out for 80 after all the good work they did in the second half of the first innings of this game with the ball. They will be distraught in the dressing room this evening. Yeah, sure, the season was over, but Kent have brought here tonight not a second 11. They have brought together a composite side. 3 players were signed at 4:30 this afternoon. Players from second 11s around the country, players who were released from other clubs, and let's celebrate that. This is a mighty effort from the Kent County Cricket Club. They have thoroughly deserved every one of their 19 points in this competition so far. They'll go to bed tonight, top of the pops. There's no way they can miss out on a home quarter final. And they should go on to finish up the Southern Group in top spot. What an extraordinary performance. It's one they'll be speaking of down there at Canterbury for years to come. Coming to Lords and this smash and grab effort, making 157 for 8 with the bat. Sure, maybe a bit under par, but then with the ball, looking through the way they did it. Marcus O'Riordan, 1 for 18 from 4. Matt Quinn, 2 for 13 from 2.3. Harry Pobler against his old club, 3 overs, 2 for 12. Sufyan Sharif, 2 for 10 from 3 overs. And Elliot Hooper, 3 for 24 from his 4. All 5 bowlers contributed. They all got in the book. No one went for runs, just 2 boundaries conceded across the board. It's an immaculate performance from the visitors.
Yeah, it's a really chastening return there from Middlesex when you think that they only just got past halfway to Kent's total, and we thought at the halfway mark that this was, par, below par from Kent, a really good bowling performance from Middlesex. We talked earlier on, Adam, about feeling sorry for the bowlers and the way that they perform and having to come out and kind of, do the bulk of the work with the bat as well. For some of those returns, Blake Cullen, 4 for 33. To be on the heavily losing side after that, you'd be distraught. It's a lot of soul searching, I think, for Middlesex.
Yeah, that's the word, soul searching. Thanks again to everyone that's made it possible this evening, including Crew Clothing, who've decked us out in what we're wearing tonight. Thank you to Crew Clothing. London Fields Brewery, who not only were supporting the stream, but were also raising money for the Ruth Strauss Foundation this evening. Of course, you can jump on the Middlesex online store to buy replica shirts from tonight, the red and blue they were wearing, in support of that charity, and we'll be auctioning off the 14 shirts worn this evening. That's all at the link you'll see in the YouTube notes at the moment, givergy.uk/MVSKT20. But yes, the easier way to access that is in the YouTube description. You can get one of the 14 tops that Middlesex wore this evening. All told, Isabel Westbury, a thumping victory for Kent. They've got the job done by 77 runs. Middlesex play their final game of the T20 season at Essex on Sunday. All they have to play for is pride, and it's going to be a tough couple of days, no question.
Absolutely is, but one thing I would say is enjoy Kent going through to quarterfinals. They'll be a team to look out for, especially when you think that of who they have to select from going through into the knockout stages once their full team is back from their isolation or having suffered from COVID. So yes, enjoy Kent, I think, is the main takeaway from that.
Yep, first versus second down at Canterbury on Sunday. Kent up against Sussex. And thank you to everybody who's been watching the stream here at Lords through the course of the Vitality Blast this year. It's been an absolute joy to bring this with you.